we feel that it is the time that everybody will receive it better. But this is why a lot were, we wouldn't say pressured, but manipulated into not knowing what they're putting into their bodies. And that is why messages coming from the higher realms were to go plant-based and more natural. It wasn't because you're not allowed to eat meat and you will never be able to hold your vibration. It is because the meat is tainted. They spray this with different chemicals. They give these animals different antibiotics and different chemicals. They give them the vaccines that many don't want to take now. They are being put into the food. They are also spraying all these chemicals that even go in there as well. So the more you consume these products from these animals, the weaker you are making the vessel and the sicker. This does not mean that once you are in, as we could say, the seal, and you have your shield around your body and you are moving between spaces, once you've already achieved that link, then the things that you eat and the things that you do will not affect the body. Then you can do what you want to do. But you cannot do that now and move with the belief and think, oh, I can change this molecule structure. You are not at that level. Only once you have achieved it. And you don't have to wonder if you've achieved it. You will know. You will see it. You will physically experience it and you will see things different. And even when you have things like, let us say, meat on your plate, you will physically be able to see the structures and move them. Like we say, the easiest is like this of the Matrix. Think of it as when, what is that man's name? The one who...
Neo.
Yes.
Neo.
This one of Neo, when he can look at things and he can shift all the ones and the zeros and he can change the construct, you will be able to achieve that intuitively. And that's when you know you are locked in. And then you can shape, move, manipulate, and then you can take in what you've won. But you cannot... What is this word that you all like to use? Gaslight?
Gaslight, yes.
Yes. This one of creating a false belief.
Yes.
And you cannot gaslight. That's a very weird word.
It comes from a movie called where the man was gaslighting the woman into believing something, and he actually used to light gas flames, and he would tell her that he didn't light it, and she would think she was going crazy. So maybe watch that movie and you would understand.
This is such an interesting concept.
Yes.
But this of gaslighting yourself into a belief that I am on my highest timeline, I control my energy, I control my frequency. You don't, because you have not achieved. The easiest is, don't give yourself so much responsibility. Connect with your heart and give that responsibility away. Give that responsibility back to the purest part of your soul. Say, I'm not in control of the situation, but I know that it is already laid out for me and I'm just going to move to it. Take away all of these barriers that you place over and allow that energy to move freely, because the more you want to control and you manifest and you do things, the more barriers you put in the field. And that it worked at a stage when you were further away from the frequency, but now it's time to give up that sense of ownership. It is to say that the way of standing in your power is to say, I have no power, but I allow the power that is through my soul to move through me freely, and then there is no limitations. Does this make a sense inside of the construct? Because we know many struggle to digest information.
It does make sense, I suppose. I think it's just difficult for me. I was just thinking, I live in the middle of a war zone at the moment. It's basically like a Cape. I mean, if one lives in the countryside and it's nice and quiet and, one can just, I suppose, introspect easier. But if one lives in the middle of a war zone, which is Cape Town at the moment, which is basically taxi mafia, zero-sum game, I win, you lose kind of mentality, it's difficult to come back to that truth. So I'm wondering how one can keep our eyes on our own paper still while living in the middle of a war zone. Does one have to leave the war zone?
You will leave. You all will leave. That is the whole thing. This has been described to you in many situations and many sessions ago, and you did not like this information at that time, where we did tell you that you will move away. You will move away from the city and you will move here. That is why you had, do you remember this vision that you received where you and Natasha were standing in front of a building and you were cutting ribbons and there was a lot of people in the crowd? Do you remember this?
Vaguely, yes.
And then you still said at this time, you mentioned, Natasha does not remember this, so it'll be funny for her to hear it again. But you said to her that, I do not want to wait that long because we looked old. It was when you were shifting into New Atlantis. Do you remember this vision? So it will come back to you.
Okay.
But the thing is, eventually, everybody has to split away from the infected areas. You are all going to move. And that is why we say in a year, 2 years, 3 years. By 2030, it would be best to be not close to any of those spaces if we can give warning.
What is going to happen in those spaces? I mean, it's just getting worse. Honestly, there is no. It's lawlessness, basically.
Exactly, and the gap is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. One wouldn't even be able to afford anything at all, and everything is going to get worse. We just want to let everyone know that we cannot no longer, as we say, mollycoddle the situation, because we tried to say it in nice ways and things, but people didn't understand the urgency of it and procrastinate.
This is in cities or what? Where?
Yes, so mainly all the hubs, that is where it's going to happen. That is why smaller towns and communities will become self-sustaining. That is where it is going. Many in other areas of the world have already moved into that way. Europe has some spaces, but they're not completely there yet because they're still too trusting in their government. But inside of this, of the USA has happened. Many of the South Americans have already gone into this construct. So this of Australia is trying to go there, but they are being hit very hard at this time now. And South Africa, it is starting now. But you will see, with inside this construct, smaller places and communities will have farms outside of the community where they will have it come back into the town and only feed that town, because there is not going to be mass productions where one place can feed a lot of places. It's going to become area for area. And that it is why, and we have said this in sessions before to the collective that is listening, and we state this again, find your tribe. Find people, even if you all have to comment at the bottom and go and look through and say, which one is in which country, and then you all can communicate and see who's in what state or what area, and then you all say, oh, I've got the skill of this, I've got the skill of this, I know how to sew and make clothes. So when these dependencies come and people get cut off, one person could maybe provide material, others could then help make clothing for everybody, the other one can help provide food, and you are going to create a bartering system again. But we say, do not go into this action with greed and think that, ooh, I'm going to be able to help many and do this in this way. Do it through passion. What are you passionate about? In your passion, allow that to be your tool, because that is how you will all start creating the network and construct of how the fifth is going to be and who can match to that. It is actually such an exciting time. It does not feel like it, but if you all could only see the way that it will be, it is truly heaven on earth. It will truly be the space where everybody is craving. The best part of it is you will so instinctively know what the other person is thinking and feeling. And it's not that you're going to hear their thoughts in your head, but your hearts are so connected in the frequency. So if you will understand that everyone you can trust. You could even connect like that with animals and the plants, and it's such a beautiful thing, because those who are nasty can't connect to that frequency. So there will be no, as we could say, evil. There will be challenges still, and there will be people who are still growing emotionally, but it won't be this, as we would say, sadistic evil.
No. But you're saying in the cities it will just become expensive. What else? I mean, is the conflict, the chaos just continuing?
It's going to just get, as we could say, worse and worse and worse, where you will actually see that in the cities it will become a three-dimensional construct, but when you move out the cities, it's going to become a higher fourth to fifth, hopefully moving to fifth, but some places will achieve the fifth construct, not many places. The entire, as we could say, everywhere where there's close to cities, there's at least 20 areas around it that can house. So people must go to where they feel called and not go to where they think it is going to be.
Okay.
That's why when you connect to that frequency, you will say, oh, I need to move to this side, to this side. I feel like I need to go there, because that is where your skills will be used for that community. And that is where it's going to become better. But these of the cities is going to become a cesspool type of feeling. It's not just going to be unsafe physically, but spiritually very unsafe, because this is where a lot of things are allowed to feed. They can't move outside of that frequency. So, and you will see them.
Yes.
It's not that you would just feel them. You will see them. And it is, do you want to be in that type of space or not?
Okay.